may be in a full indulging conversation with another person, and yet you won't be able to tell how they're feeling from the inside. Because why? Because depression does not have a face. Why it matters? Because we need to protect our current and future generation and ensure that they are mentally and physically healthy. I've done research, watched programs and documentaries that have often highlighted the challenges of depression. And there's one thing in common: the fear and reluctance of seeking help. Today I'm here to talk about depression among college students is often viewed with stigma, and I'll be covering 3 main points. Point number 1, without appropriate intervention, the causes and consequences of depression may persist indefinitely. Point number 2, the effects of depression on young adults raise significant concern regarding the well-being of future generations. And point number 3, it is imperative for our students, for society to enhance support for students. Integrating wellness programs, counseling services, and peer networks can provide comprehensive assistance to address their mental health challenges. Now that I've introduced you to my 3 main points, let's start by divulging with point number 1. Without appropriate intervention, the causes and consequences of depression may persist indefinitely. Now, what causes depression in a college goer? Starting with age as a young adult, transitioning into a somewhat professional life, the financial hardships, the academic and family pressures, the burden of responsibilities, isolation, loneliness can all lead to depression. And then there are some trigger points: social media, social surroundings, substance abuse. Those all can be trigger points to push somebody over the edge. Senior writer Mary Ellen Flannery published an article called The Mental Health Crisis on College Campuses, where she interviewed an adjunct professor who, by his own account, mentioned some examples when students came up to him and said they can't get out of bed, or one student said that my aunt got murdered. And now these are all factual events, and these are all telltale signs of depression. The saddest part is that he knows that they need help, but the help is very limited where he teaches. According to the Health Mind survey published in March of 2023, 44% of students reported symptoms of depression, 37% of students experienced anxiety, and 15% of students had thoughts of suicide. Now, it wasn't a small survey site. 90,000 students were surveyed across 133 college campuses. Now just imagine the worst consequences by far is going to be suicide, right? Imagine having that hopeless feeling of constant pain where you want to end the suffering because that's the only way out. You can hope and pray that with the right help at the right time, you can change someone's mind and save them. Now that I've examined the consequences and causes of depression, let's talk about the effects, which may be long-term. The effects of depression on young adults raise significant concerns regarding the well-being of future generations. The Institute of Mental Health reports that 75% of people show signs of anxiety before they turn 22 years old. Now, at that tender age or being young adult, 2 things that stands out: depression and substance abuse. Depression can lead to substance abuse, and substance abuse can lead to depression. You start off indulging or having fun by getting into alcohol or drugs, and next thing you know that you're too far off and there's no way out. So that can lead into depression. And same thing with depression. If you're depressed with all the burden of responsibilities and your let out or outlet is to feel numb, and getting into drugs or having those habits can give you that comfort. But then once you get into it with all the pressures and expectations, it's very challenging for anybody to come out of it. Dorothy Rowe, a psychologist from Australia, put in a quote, and she said, "Depression is a prison where you're both a suffering prisoner and a jailer." And another psychologist, Rolla May, had a quote that says, "Depression is the inability to construct a future." Because, having that feeling of depression, you're not looking at long term. You're not looking at how my life is gonna prosper moving forward. You're very limited with your thought process. Planning is not there because every day is a struggle. Let's move forward with my last point, and let's talk about where these students need more help and support. So again, my last point is, it is imperative for society to enhance support for students. Integrating wellness programs, counseling services, and peer networks can provide comprehensive assistance to address their mental health challenges. Mayo Clinic Health System published an article on college students and depression, guide for parents. It was reported that 75% of students are reluctant to seek help. Why? Rejection from peers, or they can become a laughing stock. At that age, your image is everything. So you don't want to go and seek help because people may look down upon you. According to a study done, which was published in the National Library of Medicine, it concluded that intensifying mental health problems and easing access to mental health care will increase the probability of successful early intervention of depression for college students. Why? Because the study had some alarming numbers. For example, first year students are mostly affected by depression, so clearly they need help and they're not getting it, whether they're not getting the self-help or they're not coming out of it, but the help is not there for them. As I conclude, so again, mental health issues are more than ever, right? So again, my 3 points were: without appropriate intervention, the causes and the consequences of depression may persist indefinitely. Point number 2, the effects of depression on young adults raise significant concerns regarding the well-being of future generations. And point number 3 was, it is imperative for our society to enhance support, integrating wellness programs, counseling services, and peer network can provide support for these students. Again, depression among college students is often viewed with stigma. Just remember, depression does not have a face. Mental health issues are becoming more and more prevalent in our society. And with these young adults, it's like playing with fire. Out of anyone, they are the most vulnerable, and a lot more work is required to bring these numbers down. So just remember, next time you're indulging in a conversation with them, if you see something, say something. Convince them to seek help. Maybe your convincing them can save a life. Thank you.